One vision that changes everything we thought we knew about the Song of Ice and Fire universe and the Game of Thrones universe forever. The prince that was promised. Hey guys, Shalana here. Welcome to the Binge Zone. Today we're diving deep into one of the most interesting and thrilling moments of the House of the Dragon season 2 finale. The moment when Daemon Targaryen's destiny is revealed through a powerful vision. This isn't just a glimpse into the future, it's a revelation of the deepest, darkest secrets that could shape the fate of Westeros forever. Why does Daemon witness Brynden Rivers transforming into the Three-Eyed Raven? But most interesting thing of all is the fact that this all but confirms that Daenerys is probably the prince that was promised, and just how exactly does Helena Targaryen and her cryptic message fit into the grand tapestry of the story. So hit that subscribe button and stay with us as we peel back the layers of Daemon's vision, uncover his crucial role in the Song of Ice and Fire, and decipher what this means for the destinies of Daenerys and Rhaenyra. Throughout the entirety of the second season of House of the Dragons, Daemon has been stuck in Harrenhal. And at a certain point, we all kind of got over that storyline, but this entire storyline was more important than we thought. It was stripping Daemon of all the burdens and all the baggages that he had and made him more worthy and more accessible. And once that happens, Alice tells him to touch the weirwood tree. Old Daemon touching the tree from 2 episodes ago would not have saw anything, but this new Daemon, who's now more in line with protecting House Targaryen, who now has stripped everything away from himself and the true Targaryen prince, had a vision. He saw the entirety of A Song of Ice and Fire play out from beginning to end. And it's very interesting that he does this by touching the weirwood tree, because we know they have special properties and they have magic augmentation abilities. Bran showed this plenty of times during the original Game of Thrones, and the reason why Harrenhal is haunted in the first place is because they pretty much cut down a bunch of weirwood trees to create the castle. And because of that, it's why it's haunted. That's why Daemon was going through all that, and that's why bad luck always happens to the castle. So we know they always had magical properties. So upon touching it, let's break down Daemon's vision. The very first thing that we see in his vision is Brynden Rivers. Who exactly is Brynden Rivers? For those of you who haven't read the books, you definitely saw him in Game of Thrones. He is the Three-Eyed Raven, the guy who trained Bran up, and this is his origin story. We see him as a young man before he becomes the older version of himself, and he is a Targaryen. He is a descendant of Daemon Targaryen, and he plays a crucial role in something called the Blackfire Rebellion. The Blackfire Rebellion is the second great Targaryen civil war, and potentially the next show that they could be developing in this Game of Thrones universe. I think that storyline is far more politically interesting than House of the Dragons. So at this point in time, there are no dragons left, and the Targaryens split, and Brandon ends up becoming the Three-Eyed Raven. Especially without dragons to help fight back the Night King, we know it's always a Targaryen's destiny to actually fight against the Long Night. Brandon eventually will find out about the Song of Ice and Fire, and he's going to do his part and become the Three-Eyed Raven, and that's why he's going to stall the Night King up until the prince that was promised finally comes. Brynden is going to play his role in the story, just like Daemon is now starting to understand he has a role to play. Every Targaryen has a role to play until the prince that was promised is here. We all thought the prince was Jon Snow, but the end of the vision kind of makes it look like Daenerys. But let's not get ahead of ourselves. Let's work our way there. Because from the Three-Eyed Raven, we see the Night King and we see the White Walkers, and we see that it takes a Targaryen making great sacrifices to actually hold it. At this point, it's Daemon making a sacrifice to Rhaenyra. She needs to unite the realm before they get here. Later on, it's going to be Brynden becoming the Three-Eyed Raven to hold them off before the prince that was promised was brought there. And in Game of Thrones, we saw how the White Walkers were created by the children of the forest using the magic of the weirwood trees, which is why it's even more important that Daemon touched the tree and saw that connection. And going further along in the vision, we see that Daemon sees a dead dragon. That dragon looks like Vermithor, the second biggest dragon in the realm. I'm not sure, you guys let me know in the comment section below which dragon that is, but that's telling because that's showing that the death of the dragons is a cause of this. This dance cannot happen. This is the Targaryens losing their power. Daemon is seeing just how important the power of the dragons are, and that's going to propel him. We all have a role to play. We need to be prepared for this. It's bigger than the Game of Thrones. It's about the Long Night. I know season 8 probably ruined it for a lot of you guys, but the build up to the Long Night is still an epic build up. But it's going to take war. It's going to take blood. It's going to take fire and blood, the Targaryen motto. And that's why Daemon walks through a puddle of blood and he falls through and he's drowning by the weight of everything around him. The blood, the sacrifice, the role you play in the story is heavy. Daemon is not the main character. He has to support the main character, and that is heavy. Through fire, dragons, and blood, drowning him his entire life, duty drowning him, and now he's bound by duty and destiny again to fulfill the destiny of the Song of Ice and Fire. While he's drowning, he sees a comet. That same comet was in Game of Thrones that activated Daenerys' magic blood. That's how she was able to hatch the dragons after the dance, because ultimately we know she's the mother of dragons and her role has to be fulfilled. Daemon has to do that. He has to carry that weight in order for Daenerys to actually be who she is. The Targaryens must live on, and he sees this. And this also teases that she is the child of prophecy. She is the end of the line for them. It's not Jon Snow. If Jon Snow was the prince that was promised, if he was the Targaryen prince, Jon Snow would have been at the end of Daemon's vision. Her being the last true Targaryen and her being the one that's going to save them. And now that he sees Rhaenyra on the throne, he sees that she needs to be on the throne in order for Daenerys to come. And that's when, out of nowhere, Helena shows up in his vision. And at that point, she tells him, we all have a part to play in the story. And my mind is blown. She just telepathically connected with her uncle during his own dragon dream to tell him, you saw the vision. You see, we all have our part to play. And Daenerys is the prince that was promised. All of this is working towards making sure that she is born, making sure that her dragon eggs hatch. Daemon plays a crucial part in this. His daughter Rhaenyra plays a part in it because she carried the eggs that ends up going to Essos for Rhaenyra. And Helena plays a part in this by telling Daemon about her visions, as well as talking to Aemon, setting the machinations of destiny on its wheels. And Daemon, being the rogue prince, being in the middle of all that, sees that he has to balance it all and he has to make sure Rhaenyra sits on that throne. Helena knows that Rhaenyra has to sit there. Aegon has to take his victory. All that leads to the birth of Daenerys. If you go down the Targaryen family tree, Daenerys is actually the blood relation of Daemon and Rhaenyra's land of the family, not Helena and Aegon. I think she understood that. That's probably why she didn't put up too much of resistance during the blood and cheese incident, because she saw it coming. She wasn't as shocked and as traumatizing as she should have been for something that happened to her firstborn son. But guys, that's just my thoughts about it. I'd love to hear your thoughts about it in the comment section below. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up, hit the subscribe button, and until next time, binge on.